Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for Beat the Banks here from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I am your host, Professor Chris, the DeFi professor. And today's a little bit of a different show, mainly because I just am not in the mood to talk about yields today. It's basically all that it is. Um, 1 second while I just get, need to make sure that, yes. Okay. Hopefully everybody's had a great week. Next week is ETH Denver, so I will be there. I'm not sure who else. I mean, there's. It's funny because it's like I'm not gonna go, and then all of a sudden everyone is starting to wake up and like maybe I should go. I should probably get a creator pass. I should double check and make sure that all of that is. Because I do want to get into the content creation spaces. I'm going to share what that looks like just so people are, if you're like, why are you talking and not showing anything? So if you're going to Denver, there is a digital creator application that you can get a specific creator pass. Um, I would think as a spork whale person or spork DAO person, I would be able to get into these, but you never know. So I'm going to do that anyway. But did want to take a quick look at the markets for right now. We did reclaim 69 at one point and 2K for ETH, which is good to see. But it looks like we're starting to see just a little bit of movement back and forth. Maybe some people just trying to swing some things. Good to see Solana back above $80 though. That's a positive sign. 8 on the fear and greed. A couple things that are probably prevalent. We should probably talk about these because they're really just the biggest thing right now with regards to what people are doing. Polymarket has a BTC 5-minute up or down prediction market. This is what a lot of people are probably going into. One thing I will say is that Polymarket is still not available to U.S. residents, and neither is Kalshi. If you are on Coinbase, if you're a Coinbase One member, you can actually use that. Thanks to one of our members, Stephanie, for telling me about that. Otherwise, you can take a vacation, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's probably, as you can see here, there's a lot of action on this specific one. 5 million in volume every 5 minutes is absolutely insane. For those who have never seen Polymarket, in fact, I called a good friend of mine yesterday who I'm helping him out with his restaurant business, and I was like, "What do you know about Polymarket?" And he's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I'm like, "Fantastic," because that means that if he doesn't know, there's a lot of other people that don't know, and there's a lot of people that should know about what's going on with prediction markets. So, what is a prediction market? It is, well, it's exactly what you're seeing in front of you. Apparently, it's not. Are we going to do this again today? Are we going to do this again today? There we go. But essentially, what a prediction market is what it sounds like. It's a large group of polls, right? If you were to go to, a website where they just took polls on everything, surveys, that is what a prediction market would be, right? You're just giving your opinion based on the available options. Now, what's different about prediction markets, Polymarket being one of the largest, Kalshi would be the second. And there's roughly about 10 major prediction markets in the space, but by far, Polymarket and Kalshi make up the value here. And while this one's a binary one, it's either up or down, there are other ones that you can look at. And people are actually paying money, because if you actually pay for the up vote and it ends in 1 minute as up, you will win back your share of the pool back based on your investment. Some people may think this is gambling. It is, to a degree, somewhat of a speculative way to go about event predictions. I'm not going to try and tell you one way or another what this is. However, one thing that most betting sites will have, which is, okay, if we go to a sports book, maybe they'll have things, but at least at places like Polymarket, they have all kinds of different markets that you can specifically place predictions on. For example, in culture, Elon Musk number of tweets between, or rather at the end of, from 3 days ago to that. That's a very interesting. I have never seen this market before. I mean, there's markets about if Jesus Christ is coming back in the year 2026. Because of the nature of the way that these markets work, it is trustless and permissionless because most of these are blockchain based. You can come in fairly pseudonymously, and anyone can, for the most part, create a market. This is real money, just so you know. There's more than $6.4 million in this pool. And in terms of figuring out, there are multiple ways to find out how much he's been posting. I'm sure there's like some analytics or something that's out there with regards to how many tweets he does during the week. So, based on what's here, the lowest price will probably be the most likely, or the highest price will be the most likely. If we're looking at the spread right now, we're looking at roughly around this, between 260 and 279. That's an awful lot of tweets. What this also opens up is a bunch of different options to hedge your bet, right? And that's essentially the game here. If you know your mathematics, if you know about the laws of probability, this could be a very interesting way for you to help puff up the bankroll. Now, there's a lot of people that don't know about this. What's good about this is that they now have partnerships across the industry. Polymarket has $2 billion pumped into them by ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, not the other ICE, which is the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. They really should change that name, by the way. Bad optics, in my opinion. Regardless, Google is also a partner. Yahoo's a big partner, along with CNN of Kalshi. There's a lot of people who actually come into prediction markets thinking that there is value in the data. Now, based on what I've just told you, you can see how this can be popular specifically for politics. In fact, there was a big Nobel Prize hullabaloo because the winner of the Nobel Prize, who was not President Trump, was listed as the nominee, one of the nominees along with President Donald Trump, as to who is going to win the Nobel Prize for this year. And again, some of these, it's just nuts that people have put this much money into a lot of these markets. What other options do we have? Oh, this thing goes all the way out by the by the end of the month. So by far, the most likely option is on the 28th of, no strike at all in February. Now, if you were to buy the no here, I mean, there's 689,000 in this market. Well, in the market total, there's 25.9 million in terms of volume. That's volume. That's not exactly market size. But you could probably add up. Well, this is still volume. Because not only can you buy these options, you can also sell the option. So Definitely an interesting way to hedge your bets if you're looking to. I mean, obviously, these are not going to work out because we are on February 13th. Most likely, there's going to be no strike on Iran today. But as you can see, the no votes are quite interesting. And it's betting on these very interesting ideas here, right? And the thing is like if something happens and suddenly on the 16th of February, people are hearing rumors that there could be a strike on Iran, there's going to be a huge number of people buying this option. Now, not financial advice. You do your own research. But I'm not talking about yields today. I'm talking about multiple different things in Web3 and DeFi or in crypto that I think are fairly interesting. Uh, Prediction markets are going to be the next big thing in the meta. Hands down. There's a lot, and I think the biggest reason for that is even though for the majority of these, there's Web3 rails, like for Polymarket, which is a Polygon product, by the way, guys. It's been on Polygon for the last 4.5 years, with the ability to go out to multiple other chains to onboard people. It's a bit of a Cinderella story, right? The Poly token, which is I believe has been filed for, in terms of I don't know if a trademark or something. This could be one of the biggest token generation events in the history of crypto, by the way, or digital assets, decentralized finance. And I think what's really interesting about Polymarket, Kalshi, and prediction markets like it is that most people won't necessarily identify it as a crypto-facing product, when frankly it very much is. Will there be some Web 2 based versions that are not in blockchain with this? Yeah, probably at some point. But this stuff is going to eat all of this stuff for lunch. Because they're the first movers. Let me see if I can find a Dune dashboard with all of that information. There we go. Oh, let's put you here. If you've ever been to Dune, Dune is a fantastic analytics platform. And these are, my goodness, this is old. Actually, no, this is, it's still old. Just the monthly notional volume. Oh, current month is excluded. More than 25 billion, $26.2 billion of notional volume is flowing through all of these different protocols. Now, by far, Polymarket has the largest share, along with, Opinion's catching up. And a lot of this is, we're in this DeFi bubble. I personally never used opinion markets, but looking into it, Kalshi is still leading the pack now, even though Polymarket has really caught up. What's interesting, I believe, is the month of October, which is 9.4 billion overall. Just from Kalshi and Polymarket, which made up a large number of this, they made more in volume. Pardon me. They had more in volume in October of last year than they did all of the previous months of all the years they've been in existence combined. That is how much this has exploded. So if you're looking for something different to do in Web3, consider checking out prediction markets. There are multiple of them. As you can see, I'm just listing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't count. That is 8. Yeah, there's at least 3 more that are coming. So we'll see about what's going on. The more interesting thing is that because they're now tokenized, at least from Kalshi and Polymarket standpoint, now we're going to see people building things on top of this. This is where the beauty of decentralized finance comes in. Because once that they've been tokenized on any of these market events, these are now technically tokens, which means that they are in their respective ecosystems, they're available as a DeFi, as a composable DeFi asset, because I think they're ERC20 or SPL20. ERC20 or SPL compatible tokens. So that means they can be used for liquidity, for collateral, for a variety of things. We're going to see a lot of interesting projects in the next 6 to 12 months that will build on top of Polymarket and Kalshi and really just represent some really fun things to consider for, you know, playing around and getting some additional passive income streams. I'm not going to talk about all of them here because we're actually building some guides and content specifically around prediction markets. But something to look at. And there's a lot of fun things being looked at right now if you want to do your research. But one thing to remember is that because they are in Web3, most of these are not currently open to U.S. residents. Polymarket has been working on becoming U.S. ready, I guess, for 2 years now. And essentially, it's going to change once clarity comes through. So clarity hopefully gets passed by the end of the month and we'll see more things. So those are prediction markets. Very, very straightforward in terms of how they work, right? The other big one, I just mentioned Polymarket. Let's go to Kalshi. And they too have a variety. They have a mentions market now. Okay. So this is fun. It's the weirdest thing in my personal opinion, but it's fun. Ugh. Again, why is my screen sharing freezing? I don't understand why this happens. Okay. Kalshi.com, by the way. And it's basically for the idea that if something gets mentioned, like for example on Polymarket, someone had a big market that said, will J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, say the word ass on national TV? That was a very large market. Someone put a Polymarket market up on whether or not Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark, right, was going to show up at the Super Bowl. And apparently it had 24 million in volume. Unreal, right? Kalshi has this mentions market is quite interesting. These are words that are going to be said during the game, the basketball game between Auburn University and the University of Arkansas. March Madness, All-American, recruitment. It's kind of a weird. Oh gosh. Oh, there's a lot. And you can earn 3.25% on it. Wow. Tell me more about this. Mm-hmm. Right. So this is part of the new thing, right? Now that because Kalshi has tokenization now, especially, and this is a bad example because these are for actual games, but let's say if there's politics, right? Government shutdown tomorrow. Who will Trump nominate as Fed chair? He's already nominated Kevin Warsh, so it doesn't matter unless he doesn't get confirmed by the Senate. There's that. Democratic nominee for president. Let's say that you wanted to get into this, and they have the 3.25% interest. We don't have the Democratic nominee for president being announced anytime soon, so you could actually buy if you think Gavin Newsom's going to be the nominee, and just earn 3.25% interest for holding that position. A little bit of alpha. Foresight. Let me get Foresight. They're on Katana. Foresight.exchange. No, that's not it. But they are apparently a prediction market. But it's on Katana. Is it just Foresight at XYZ? I should probably look. I should look this up at a different spot. Foresight Katana. I have a link. I put a link in our Discord for our community for it. I have to follow them. This one. Yes. Well, anyway, they have a. They're on Base, Katana, Citria, and Pulse Chain. Ew. What's that? Well, anyway, they have on their katana market, they're giving away extra cat if you hold a position longer than 24 hours, which I don't see on here. But anyway, these are how prediction markets are fascinating because let's be honest, people can manipulate this to a degree, right? You can certainly have multiple options. Uh, People may just buy the opposition to try and make money on this. But there's enough happening here that there are companies who are willing to take this as a pulse of the people. This is data that is being sold to multiple groups around the world uh, as somewhat factual information, which to me is still the part that I embrace it. Right? Are you serious right now? Ugh, what is wrong with the sharing here? Not happy about that. There we go. This is a trustless and permissionless market, right? So anyone can come in and buy as much of this as they want, drive up the price or lower the price depending on what's going on. Uh, but the fact that there are multi-billion-dollar corporations who are investing in these platforms, saying that the data that comes off of this is enough to be factual for decision intelligence. That's the part that's important to note here. Decision intelligence. That's the part that's fascinating. And the fact that this all exists in the blockchain world is fantastic and will most likely work the best in this market. Okay, so prediction markets is some other things you can do if you don't feel like going after yields. The next thing I'll talk about is NFTs. Now, let's talk about good or bad. Why are NFTs something that are interesting? Well, we have a little bit of a K-shaped curve on this stuff, right? Because we're in a situation where we have multiple high high reputation. Is that the word to use for things like Pudgy and some of these others that have just a ton of I don't want to use the word aura because that's a silly term for this. Anything with a lot of attention is going to do well, whereas low traction, low marketing brands that people don't know about probably will not do well. That's kind of been the K-shaped recovery for NFTs overall. Why are people interested in pictures? Remember, guys, this is the part that most people maybe lose sight of when it comes to NFTs. NFT stands for non-fungible token, which means that if you own one of these tokens, it is 100% authentically and uniquely yours. So if someone has a collection of NFTs, like these Pudgy penguins, this is a token. It just happens to have a cute, cuddly penguin as a picture tied to it, and it's what's called our metadata. Every metadata is just information that describes an object. In this case, the token. And this is 4 ETH. $8,796 to own one of these. Is this a clout thing? To a degree, yes. There's a status about it. Should we call it last cycle? When Justin Bieber bought a Bored Ape, because Bored Apes are now floor for Bored Apes is a 6 ETH. Interesting. Well, he bought a Bored Ape, and at the time when he purchased it, it was like 1.2 million, 1.3 million, I think is what he bought it for. Don't trust verify. Go look it up. It's now worth like less than 13 grand. Such is the nature of NFTs. Okay. The best way to describe an NFT for most people these days, it is a digital collectible. That is how a lot of people have reframed NFTs, because they've gotten a bad rep, because NFTs are just pictures of monkeys that have no value. It's no different than a baseball card, a cigar, a watch, things like that. Things that are ironically collateral you can use with RWAs. In a way, NFTs are very similar. Do they have intrinsic value? No. They are tokens that have composable features about them, because they are in, either the Solana, Ethereum, or whatever ecosystem you're in. That token standard, which means they can be used as collateral. You can swap them. There's different operations available for NFTs, because they're a class of token. They're not exactly an ERC20 token. There's more than two different token standards for NFTs that allow for different operations, because these are still technically tied to smart contracts. Even though they're tokens, there are smart contracts you can tie to them, which make them very flexible. One thing that people don't realize is that tokens don't have to be pictures of monkeys. My favorite thing that people don't realize about NFTs is that if you do concentrate liquidity, like Uniswap v3, when you actually create your position, they mint an NFT of your position. Why? Because it's non-fungible. It can't be, number one, it's immutable, but two, it shows your position at a specific time between the two ticks. Yeah, between the two ranges you set for your liquidity. And it's in your wallet. When you actually close your position, they burn the NFT. Otherwise, if you never close the position, it'll always be there. It'll show up in your OpenSea portfolio, actually. Let me see if I can make that happen. Since it's actually not sharing anything, I need to fix it. This is silly. I don't understand why it does that. Sorry, I'm just going to unlock my wallet so you can actually see how that looks. Let me switch to a different wallet. One second, guys. I'm looking for the NFTs. Yeah. They've changed the way that this looks. Okay, good. Okay. So this is my wallet here on OpenSea for that. And one thing that you'll see, as you can see, we have regular NFTs here. Shout out to all these teams, whether Arbonauts or Barrio Punks. As you can see, we have these NFTs for Uniswap positions for concentrated liquidity, just to kind of show you how that works. So what's interesting about this is that as long as you don't do anything with it, I mean, you can transfer NFTs between wallets, by the way. So if you ever needed to move your position from one wallet to another, you could actually send it. That is one thing you can do. Keep it open, and you'll always have it. One thing too that's interesting is that you don't have, when you close your position, if you do everything but like 1%, like I have multiple positions that are just sitting there at 1%, like this one, for example, which is a USDC BTC position on, I think it's Arbitrum. Yeah, Arbitrum, between the price of Bitcoin to BTC of 78,971 and 96.5. I think there's probably less than 50 cents left in this position. I can go ahead and add liquidity to that position, reopen it, and or rather reactivate it with more money. to earn fees as long as Bitcoin is within that range. I haven't closed the position, so this will stay here because there's an NFT present, and it's going to look for this NFT whenever you're looking to redo the position. So I don't know if that made any sense or if I'm just kind of vomiting word salad, but NFTs are interesting. Uh, whether you're on EVM or if you're on Solana like at Tensor or Magic Eden, some of the other places that are out there. To give you an idea on how to interpret a listing. So if you've never been into an NFT marketplace, you go in, you come in with your wallet, and then you see the multiple collections. You can always go with trending. There's also new mints. No idea what any of this stuff is. Ooh, molt domains. It's 10 sol for a molt domain? Man. Man. That's $800 for your OpenClaw AI agent to have the domain elonmusk.molt. That is ridiculous. Why is my screen sharing continuing to fail me today? Let me move back. So you're going to be seeing here just the different types of collections that are available. It's either trending, new mints. You can also look for a specific collection, right? Every collection has what's called a floor price. So if you are holding an NFT and you are not selling it, then it won't show up here. But for anyone who decides to list their NFT for sale, and there it is, I just saw my screen stop sharing. That is crazy that this keeps happening. The floor price is going to be any listed NFTs that are for sale, but the lowest that is available. That is the floor price. So if you're looking to figure out what is the cheapest I can purchase a Claynosaur's NFT for, a Claynosaur's NFT, it's going to be here at 14 sol, which is, well, that's quite a bit. But Claynosaur's has always been a bit of a special project. And as you can see, they're all different in a way. They have a little, even though technically the tokens themselves are non-fungible, oftentimes you're like wondering, well, how is mine different? As you can see, they're all visually, the image that's tied to it is different. Now, one thing to note, NFTs, they're illiquid, meaning, and like many things in life, they are illiquid. Real estate is illiquid, by the way. It's only worth whatever someone is willing to buy it for. Okay? So in this case, you're seeing that, it's 14.9 sol for that. In the event that someone wants to buy it, they'll pay that for it. You could also bid for it and get like a cheaper price if someone's willing to bid, and then the owner of that NFT is willing to accept that price. That is something else that also happens. But that's kind of how NFTs work. And they can be fun, especially if you get in early. Like if you're lucky enough to get access to mint an NFT, like imagine being one of the people who came in and was able to mint a Claynosaur for like 1 sol. I mean, you would have been 14x on that, right? Let's say that the mint price was 1 sol. The lowest available, if you decide to list it, would be roughly about 15 sol. There's power in that, right? This is no different than people going and selling Pokemon cards, baseball cards, anything. This all falls underneath that same paradigm of thought. It's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it. Now, are there people who are willing to pay for this? Yes, there is a volume here. I don't know if the volume is in dollars or sol. It's probably I don't know. It's hard to say. People are paying money pretty often for these things. I should probably go to, let's go back to the main thing at OpenSea. Let me refresh this. I'm going to have to talk to somebody at Ecamm because this is annoying that it keeps happening. But as you can see, Pudgy's at 4.3. Hypers are the cat NFTs are pretty good. Now, CryptoPunks will always probably be the most valuable collection out there, right? 29.85 ETH. What fascinates me is really just the whole idea of why NFTs, like meme coins, are popular. In fact, in many collections, they go hand in hand. If you're a holder of this meme coin or a holder of this collection, you can get access early into other projects. There are people who share these things. There are full-on, let's call them cults and syndicates of groups of people who put together a lot of these projects and are looking to keep this alive. Why? Because meme coins and NFTs, frankly, are the oil for newer and smaller chains to stay afloat. I will tell you right now, XRP Ledger has practically nothing on it in terms of let's just say it, overall users. But if there's one thing that you can still get on XRP Ledger, whether it's the native XRPL or the EVM sidechain, it's NFTs and meme coins. I know this because 2 years ago when I met some people who were creating wallets, then we've had them on our TVL podcast on Wednesdays. The only thing you were able to get were meme coins and NFTs on the wallet. So the speculation on most of these smaller chains or just chains that are looking to get bigger is very real. For example, like the other option I'll give is when Aptos first opened. A lot of people were trying to figure out, well, are there any good NFTs or meme coins there? It's not that it gives a bad optic overall to the industry. It's just speculation is in the nature of what happens here in decentralized finance and just crypto overall, right? The idea is still the same. Buy low, sell high. But you can have a lot of fun with stuff like this. There are multiple collections that if you hold a specific, for example, Doodles, really great example. Or even, I'm not going to, shout out to everybody in Ordinals. It's been tough. Ordinals and alkanes and runes. Been tough for you guys the last 8 months. Like, for example, there are more groups coming out with tokens to help with generating income or generating revenue for the projects overall. Penguins did it with Pengu. Bored Apes on other side, they have the Ape coin. They have an entire blockchain called Ape Chain from other side. Milady, they have a coin. Shout out to all the Miladies. Doodles had their coin on Solana. Moonbirds just had a TGE 2 weeks ago, I want to say. So there's things that people are doing to keep the party rolling. But NFTs can be fun. There's really great communities around NFTs and meme coins. Then they're very loyal. It leads to a lot of interesting utility around it. And I know a lot of people that, like, I remember when I went to Denver 2 years ago, I met a group that they were just there supporting a project with a booth, but they're all just part of the same NFT now. And it's fun when you can find connections and like-minded people like that here in this space. And there's a lot of different opportunities with NFTs. They're not just about pictures. There is utility in some of these. For example, Gary Vee. One big thing about going to a Gary Vee seminar is that he has NFTs for tickets, right? If loyalty programs, which were huge back in 2021 with like Disney, Starbucks, all of that, they were on Polygon blockchain, all as NFTs. In fact, Reddit, for their mascot, is his name Spoon? Scoot? I forgot his name. Swoosh? No, it could have been Swoosh. Either way, they don't even call them NFTs. They call them DCAs, digital collectible avatars. Just a different reframe. What I like about NFTs is the utility for using them for good because they are all unique. So NFTs have seen them used for fractional ownership in real estate. There's a group, I believe it's on CoreDAO, that has a market where if you buy an NFT that's tied to an apartment complex, you have ownership in specific apartments. and as long as you hold it and stake it, you actually get a piece of the rent that comes through every month. I think that's a fascinating idea. Being able to do stuff like that. Um, your digital data, your ID data, will be NFTs because it's you, right? I can unequivocally say that if I have an NFT that represents my digital identity in this space, that's going to be mine and mine alone. You don't have to sell it, and there are multiple types of NFTs that are available that, once you have it, it's yours forever. They come under different names. Some people call them soulbound tokens. For example, World Liberty Financial. They had soulbound tokens where you can't sell them once you have them. They are yours for life. Uh, NFTs, there's a lot of things that are behind that, and a lot of interesting hybrid models. Like if you remember DN 404, ERC 404, from not that long ago. That was an interesting way to look at digital asset and liquidity plays. But anyway, we talked about NFTs. We talked about prediction markets. Last thing I'll talk about is going to be gaming. As my screen again does not work, the screen share. Axie Infinity, like Pudgy Penguins, has worked really hard, and shout out to both those teams, at both Igloo for the Penguins and Abstract Chain, where you can actually watch this show, of course, as well as Sky Mavis with Axie. They are doing the things that they need to do to make this stuff visual, which is good. Name recognition is what you need. Illuvium has had really good activations for the last couple of years. It's a bit of a fun hunt, capture Pokemon 5v5 monster kind of game. One that people have played a lot is Off the Grid. It's a really fun version of a first-person shooter that's based on Avalanche. It's in the Epic Game Store. Illuvium, also I believe, is in Epic. Yep. Soulforge Fusion, a game that we've talked about quite a bit here at Beacon. We're still looking to figure out ways to get it as a community engagement tool. So shout out to the team at Soulforge. This is available on Solana and Base as a token, by the way. And with the SFG token, where you can buy and mint decks, stake turn. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I need to play more of it. Maybe if I talk to them soon, we can figure out a way to feature them a little bit more. And there's other games, right? I'm just naming 4 off the top of my head that I've at least looked into. There's dozens. And there's dozens that, frankly, didn't make it. Shrapnel, I don't know where Shrapnel's at anymore. Gods Unchained, another good one. There's bunches of games that have some presence out there, but a lot of them just kind of ran out of runway and didn't really make it to market. There's a time where Arbitrum had like a $160 million grant for bringing Web 2 games into Web 3, or just for that to happen. But we're running into some issues. But this should be, honestly, I think with Clarity and a lot of other things, that solves that, because frankly, if you're paying for Roblox and Fortnite and stuff, you're using digital assets anyway. It's just easier to load up because you can buy it at your local Target. Imagine if you could buy all of this stuff with cards or just easy things to scan on a website from Target, from Walmart. These are all things that should be available to do fairly soon in a very earnest way once the Clarity Act passes and digital assets are now part of the regular conversation. So that's the key with Clarity being passed, is it's going to have a whole framework for how a lot of this works. I have some older cards for this game. I don't think they still work, honestly, but I'll find out if they do, if they're going to be at Denver. And if so, I'll do a giveaway, because I have like 5 cards for Illuvium, thanks to them doing big activations at like Consensus and Permissionless and stuff like that, things that I've been to. They had a decent gaming activation 2 years ago at Denver. I don't think they had one last year. But, oh, they did. They did. Hopefully there's a decent one this year, because I do enjoy Web3 gaming. I enjoy having fun with that. I personally would love to be a game dev. I want to make educational games to teach people about financial literacy, but also I would love to do just basic education because my kids are homeschooled. I think gaming's a great way for people to learn in general. So, but yeah, if you didn't realize, these are all Web3. These are all Web3 based. These are all based on blockchain rails, stuff like that. So, but yeah, if I could recommend any of these games, of course, Off the Grid is just stunning to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch if you watch people play it on Steam. There are a couple other games out there that are in this same niche, uh, that are very cool. And I can't play most of these because I get very sick with FPS shooters, just mainly because of my motion sickness with my vision. But Soulforge Fusion, I can wholly recommend as a really fun game if you like turn-based card games. Justin Gary, who's the CEO, worked with the gentleman who was one of the creators of Magic the Gathering. So this is a really fun game, not just for the turn-based parts, but really just for the lore. I really enjoy the story between the four factions that they have in this game, and you're just building decks with different things, and you just have, it's like Hearthstone if you've played Hearthstone, or one of my other favorite games, Gwent from The Witcher 3. Uh, Great game. Great game. It's very similar to that. You build different faction decks with different things, and you can purchase them. In fact, I don't know if they still have the crowdfunded stuff. The crowdfunded stuff is fantastic. To just pay $80 to get just like beautifully drawn and created cards, physical cards. Not only can you just play this online, which is how I've played. I've streamed it a couple times. You can actually play it in person. That's also a really fun part about this. So let's see. Anyway, we're way past time for today. Sorry I started late. I was trying to get some more information. Frankly, I just didn't feel like talking about yields today. um, and apparently my tech keeps failing me. So I had to figure out why, but it stopped sharing at times. It's kind of weird that happens. But we do this show every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, here on our socials. And again, we won't have it next week because I'll be in Denver for ETH Denver. So if you'll be in ETH Denver, let me know. Happy to meet up with you. Come on down, me and my happy Zoom trigger fingers here. Please definitely check out our free site here. Total Value Locked from Beacon DeFi. You're a beacon in the world of decentralized finance. School.com/beacon, completely free to join. Join the many who have come over and are learning about how they can do self-custody to get into the world of decentralized finance and find fantastic ways to generate multiple ways of passive income and all that. That's all I got for you guys. Hope you had a great day. Hope you found some value in this. And just some other things to do in this space. Yields are fantastic, obviously, and that's our bread and butter. But being in this space a long time, I love games. I'm a huge video game fan. Love seeing all this stuff out here. Pudgy Penguins have a great game. I think it's like Fall Guys that they have for their Pudgy Party game. There's a lot of things to do here. And of course, NFTs are fun. Prediction markets are just going to take over, in my opinion. They're going to be in the ethos of regular people all the time, because it's a really easy way to get people involved with getting their opinion on things, and that's why people are paying big money to see these things get into the mainstream. So we do have some content coming for prediction markets at some point, so stay tuned for that if you're very curious about this and you want to figure out how it's more than just placing predictions on things. There are people who are actually making some interesting money off of this, and that's all I'll say about that. Obviously, no, this is financial advice, research. We'll see you next time. 07. Oh, let me get back to my big noggin. Have a great weekend. 07. Let me know if you're going to be in Denver. Beacons up. Banks down. Keep beating those banks, guys. Have a great day.